Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. So we are here with a significant move by the Dolphins and Chris Greer, and this is a pretty chaotic one too. So we're gonna talk about this one. A lot just went down with this deal. There was a lot of back and forth going on about it. So the Dolphins are trading Jalen Ramsey to the Pittsburgh Steelers for Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Mariota going outside and cuts up short. Corey Davis was stopped by Minkah Fitzpatrick.
So when this first dropped, we saw, it was going to be Minkah for Ramsey swap. That they were just going to do the rare player for player trade. That's why we all thought, because when we saw the deal first leak, they didn't say the specifics of what it was, because they were like, blockbuster, Ramsey's going to Pittsburgh. And a lot thought that it would be just a bunch of draft pick capital. Well, actually, we ended up getting Minkah Fitzpatrick, and the Dolphins and Steelers went at it again and sent Jonnu Smith to the Steelers for a 5th round pick. The Dolphins send a 7th round pick as well with Jonnu for that 5th round pick in 2027. The 7th round pick is also from 2027, which is going to Pittsburgh. So overall, the Dolphins are sending Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, 2027 7th round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick, star safety in football, by the way, and a 2027 5th round pick. So this is a move, I will tell you that. Let's talk about this one, because this is potentially one of the biggest moves that I've ever seen the Dolphins go. This is a monster of a trade. So let's break this down. At first this trade was a bit trickier to grade for Miami because they were able to free up some salary cap. A lot of salary cap really off of Ramsey and some off of Jonnu. And, this is not surprising that Smith and Ramsey are gone, by the way. And the problem is that, Ramsey still has a lot left in the tank, but he never performed to the fullest with Miami, and that's what ultimately led to the breakup. Jonnu sucks that we lost him, but, at this rate, I think it wasn't worth paying for a guy that had one amazing year. So, now trading Ramsey away makes the cornerback room worse, obviously. We knew this was happening. But, this can be addressed very easily now since we traded him, clearing up a ton of cap space. You can now go ahead and just sign a bunch of corners in the offseason. Which, by the way, there's a lot of good corners out there now. The Dolphins had a huge need at safety, and the addition of Fitzpatrick is very, very significant. Javon Holland left in free agency. Fitzpatrick had a slight downswing in 2023, but he did have a slight bounce back in 2024. He's still regarded as one of the best safeties in football. Love this one by the Dolphins. It was a home run to get Fitzpatrick. And it's funny enough, he actually started his career with us. I remember we drafted him back in 2018. We had Adam Gase and all that. And they had a breakup because something happened. Something went down between the two sides, and now he's back in Miami. And so let's see what happens. I think Fitzpatrick is going to enjoy this a lot more than he did before with Gase as a coach and Brian Flores. He's going to love McDaniel. I think he's going to love Weaver as his defensive coordinator. I really hate that we had to lose Jonnu Smith, but I knew that it had to be done because it's just, he had an amazing year, do not get me wrong, but it was his first big year that he had in his career, and the fear that I have with the Dolphins they have made so many mistakes with paying players who had one amazing year and they proceed to go back to earth the next couple years. That's the biggest fear that I had. And overall, it had to be done. It's heartbreaking. I really wanted him to spend the rest of his career with Miami, but it had to be done. And now, with Ramsey and Jonnu Smith gone, I think now you have opened the door to make a lot of trades. Now, the Dolphins are reportedly reaching out to multiple teams about inquiring a tight end, which the most notable name out there is tight end Kyle Pitts from the Atlanta Falcons. He is a really young tight end who has actually kind of struggled to meet expectations in Atlanta, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think Kyle Pitts is not a good fit for the Atlanta Falcons team. And because of that, I think that's what's going to ultimately lead to the change of not John, I'm going to miss saying Jonnu Smith's name. Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a big name mentioned in the Miami Dolphins conversation. And I think that's probably the best fit and the best choice. Kyle Pitts, guys. You guys got to understand something about Kyle Pitts real quick. This kid is only 24 years old. He has so much time in his career to turn it around. And I really like this Dolphins team with how they did with Jonnu Smith. I have 100% faith that they can turn it around with Kyle Pitts. This kid's about to be 25 in October. That's a really great number. He would be a really, really nice replacement for Jonnu Smith, in my opinion. And as far as a replacement for Jalen Ramsey goes, you free up so much cap space with this move. So now that you free this cap space, there is guys like Asante Samuel out there. He's incredible, by the way. There's James Bradbury, Stephon Gilmore. So many names. Also, Douglas is out there too. So, if I am the Dolphins, now that you make this move, you're moving the dice now with this. You got your star at safety. You finally filled that huge issue out. So I think the safeties will be Ashton Davis and Minkah. And now the corners. So, in my opinion, Miami goes to trade for Kyle Pitts and you sign somebody reasonable with your cap space. A lot of people want Asante Samuel Jr., but I think he's going to be a very big demand for money. And because of that, I think that maybe Miami wants to play it cheaper and maybe consider drafting one in next year's draft in the first round, a corner from wherever. I think that they would consider doing that. Keep one of the corners. Wow, my grammar sucks. So I think you go after Kyle Pitts, you sign Stephon Gilmore and James Bradbury on 1-year deals. And I think you extend one of them the next offseason and let one walk. Draft one the next year. But let's talk about this year. If you go get Kyle Pitts and you sign Stephon Gilmore and Bradbury, or just one of them, this Dolphins team is back to being a contender. This team has the worst tight end room in the league and the worst corner room in the league. If you make one of these two tight ends come to Miami and you get Kyle Pitts, you're already back in that playoff race just like that. And in my opinion, I think that they would surpass some teams in the playoff picture. I don't think that they'll surpass the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think that they'll pass the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, by the way, the Pittsburgh Steelers look like they're going to be a very good team depending how Aaron Rodgers plays. But I think they will be above the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe they will be above the Denver Broncos, which, by the way, Miami could have made the playoffs last season if they had won the Jets game and probably had won the Titans game, since they own the tiebreaker over Denver. So in my opinion, if the Dolphins can find a way to make something happen, I believe that they will make the playoffs as the 6th seed. Right now, I see them as a team pushing for the 7th seed in the playoffs just to sneak in there. I think they're just a team that's trying to get in the playoffs regardless. But if you make these two moves happen, you will be elevated to the next level. And I think you could push for the 6th seed in the playoff picture. Probably play a team like Buffalo, but I'm sure Miami wants that after what happened a few years ago with that loss in the playoffs in the first round. So this could seriously elevate them to finally contend for the AFC East again, push for a higher playoff seed potentially. It would make them a playoff team instantly again. So, Chris Greer, find a way, make your magic. You're on the right track. You made a very, very big return for Miami. Now, you just have to finish the job at tight end and corner. Make your magic happen. I think both teams deserve an A for this trade. I think it's a win-win on both sides. The Steelers now a Super Bowl team. I hate to say that because I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they are now Super Bowl contenders with this trade. And the Dolphins getting Minkah to fill their safety situation, who's only 28 years old, by the way. Very, very young player. Very, very good player as well. And now they have opened the door to be back to being a very good playoff team again, like they were in 2023 and 2022. So, Greer, make it happen, man. That being said, thank you guys for watching. I know I was going to post my draft recap, but after this deal went down, I am holding that off entirely. And what I'm going to do is make an off-season recap entirely of, you know, the free agency, trades, and the draft. So you guys will see all that in one video instead. Once everything is set, match, and done, hopefully everything goes the way we want it to go. I think Greer is on to something, guys. Let's see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video. Peace out.